Got bear hoes in this bitch, man. It's not that hard to do this question. I'll help you out, eh? So this is a tutorial made for the Arshak. So hello, Arshak. Very easy shit over here, mate. So you got a question over here that's asking you what the IRC at x equals 2 is equal to. It's very easy. There's a much easier way of doing it, but you guys haven't learned it yet, so I'm just not going to teach you. Go at your own steps. Your equation is f at x is equal to 5x squared minus 7. Correct me if I'm wrong. Just kidding, you can't. This is a video I'm making for you. And you're trying to find the IRC at x equals 2. And, write this down so that you can follow along and do good tomorrow. So, this is how you run the shit. The equation you gave me, and it's a universal equation. It's a derivative function, but you guys haven't learned what that is yet. But regardless, it's saying that the instantaneous rate of change on an equation is equal to f at x plus h minus f at x. Okay, over h. Okay, so basically what you want to do is very easy. You have two parts to this question, essentially. You have this first part, which is very easy to find, and you have this second part, which is a little more difficult, but it's still not that hard. So what you want to do is, for the first part, you want to find what f at x is, which is really not that hard since you're already given the equation for f at x. Okay, so all you got to do is for x, you just plug in 2. Okay, so it'll just be f at x is equal to 5x squared minus 7. And then our x is 2, so it's just going to be 5 times 2 squared minus 7. Okay, pretty simple, straightforward so far, which is just going to equal to 5 times 4 minus 7, which is equal to 20 minus 7, which is equal to 13. Okay, so you know what we just figured out over here? We figured out that f at x, okay, is equal to 13. Alright, someone came over to my house, but whatever, I'll still finish this. Now you gotta do your second part. Your second part is f at x plus h. You have to figure out what that is. This isn't that hard either, because all you're doing is anytime you see an x into your equation, just add an h to it. So you have a very simple equation, so it's just going to be f at x plus h squared minus 7. Okay? So realistically, what you end up with is 2 plus h, because that's your x, is equal to 5 times 2 plus h squared minus 7. Okay? Straightforward shit so far. I hope you're getting it. And then what you do is you expand this. So this will basically be, if you want to, I don't know if you know how to expand it or not, but you probably should. This is basically just 2 plus h times 2 plus h. And then you're doing this times this times that, plus this times this, plus that. So essentially you'll just end up with 4 plus 2h plus 2h plus h squared. Okay? And then combine it together, it'll just be 4 plus 4h plus h squared. And you also got times 5 minus 7. So since we're doing this part as well, so essentially it'll just be that minus 7. And then long story short, this ends up being it's like 5h squared plus 20h plus 13. It's not that hard. You just multiply this shit into here, and then you do minus 7, so you get this part. Anyways, past with that one. That's in our past life now. You now have your equation for what f at x plus h is equal to. So now we know that f at x plus h is equal to 5h squared plus 20h plus 13. Okay, so now we have both parts of this equation over here. We got this and we got this. So now you put it into simpler forms. Okay? Hi, Eric. Okay. Anyways, so now what you do is you bring limits into the question on how you're going to solve it, because that's how you do shit. I don't know why, but you just have to do it. So you just do a limit as h approaches 0, right? And we're going to do this equation over here. because that's our IRC equation. The limit of that question, f at 2 plus h minus f2 is equal to that, right? So it's equal to, essentially, when you put everything together, is just going to equal to this minus this. Sorry, this minus this, right? Because we're getting it from here. We're putting the f at x plus h part, and we're putting the f at x part in here. So that's just going to equal 5h squared plus 20h plus 13, and then we got minus, right? So minus, okay, this is, remember, this is this part, and then this part is the next part, which you already know is this, 13, okay? So essentially, these two cross out, because 13 minus 13 is 0, okay? So also just don't forget there's a huge over h over here. So you're left with is just 5h squared plus 20h over h, okay? So obviously this h can't divide by this one, so you have to take this one off. Actually, no, technically you can. So this will be 5h plus 20h. Well, no, this cancels out, that cancels out, and one of that. Yeah, so you're left with that. Okay, so this was a limit question, so it's limit of h approaching 0. You can't do anything else over here at this point. You can't simplify it anymore. You can't, I mean, you shouldn't derive it anymore because you're basically done. So now you're finding a limit as h reaches 0. All you got to do is you just plug in 0 for your h. Okay, so now you just got 5 times 0, which is equal to 0, obviously, plus 20, which is equal to 20. So, and that solves your question. So, IRC of 5x squared minus 7 is equal to, at x equals 2 is equal to 20, which is this over here. So to break it down for you, you started off with this equation, and you plugged in this equation into the fx part, which you found that fx at 2 is equal to 13, okay? And then you essentially, from this equation again, you found what f at x plus h is by plugging x plus h anytime there was an x, okay? You broke it down. You essentially simplified it all the way down to finding this equation over here, and then since you found this equation and you have this number over here, you're just putting it back into this IRC formula, because now you had this part and you had this, okay, and then you're just limiting it. You're just saying as h approaches 0, so you just simplify it the most you can, and then at the very end you plug in 0 for your h, and then you'll get your answer. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Hope I can help you next time.